Okay, because we're going to roll that tape. All right, here we go. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy 4th of July weekend to everyone here. Welcome to the Temple of the Living God. We are so glad that all of you are here, and we're glad that the folks in social media are joining us as well. We're going to start out with a Daniel Nahmod song called One Power. I tried to do this a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't work out, so we've got it together now. Would you turn that up a touch? Thanks. Thank you. There's one power invisible, and you can see it everywhere and every day. There's one power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. It's as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. But we remember when we close our eyes to see such differences were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Mohammed, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's one power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness, and it's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunlight on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandoned, 'cause it's love that's most deep. It's one power, one power. Oh, it's one power, one power. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me.
I would like to welcome anyone who's joining us remotely. And we are pleased to have Reverend Zemke with us today, speaking about the three faces of freedom. And I have chosen a reading from Daily Word, and it's entitled, Free. Living from my Christ nature sets me free. As a spiritual being, I'm always free. I remember this at those moments I feel at the mercy of an unpredictable world. While I may not be able to control what happens around me, I can take comfort knowing I don't need to. I am free to choose my response, but even more, I am free to meet life from my divinity, the breath of my spiritual power. In prayer, I claim divine ideas. I use my gift of imagination to envision the life I wish to live and the gift of will to make those choices to make it happen. I speak affirmations to raise my consciousness and help create conditions for my highest and best outcome. I find precious freedom realizing that life doesn't happen to me. Life happens through me. And I quote from Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And so it is. And now we'll hear the beautiful voice of Carol Mitchell and the talents of the Goodfellows.
Yes. And in honor of the 4th of July weekend, this song is called Freedom. We build walls when we should be building bridges. We lose touch when we ought to be holding on. We hold back when we really could be giving. We hold out when we're holding on to nothing at all. Freedom from fear of certain failure. Freedom from the bar we place across every door. Freedom from things we just imagine. Freedom from all that came before. We speak out, we could learn so much from silence. We think twice when we shouldn't think at all. We give in when we should stand and speak our truth. We give up, then it's going. Freedom from fear of certain failure. Freedom from the bar we place across every door. Freedom from things we just imagine. Freedom from all that came before. Freedom. 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 Freedom from fear of failure, hunger and greed. Freedom. Freedom from jealousy, pride, anger, and heartbreak. Freedom. Freedom from everything you want, but really you don't need. Freedom. Freedom from glamour and illusion and insurance companies. Freedom. Freedom from atomic bombs and wars and penitentiaries. Freedom from all our addictions and our poor pitiful me's. Freedom from sickness and sorrow, ignorance and poverty. Freedom from all bondages, just a freedom just to be. Freedom.
Once again, good morning, and welcome to a time in our ministry when we focus on honoring the birthday of our country here in America. As you know, tomorrow is the 4th of July. And on that date in 1776, when by the signing of the Bill of Rights, we claimed for ourselves as Americans the rights of freedom, liberty, speech, the press, religion, and the right to gather together in assembly such as we are gathered here today. And we can do that all over our country. That's literally granted to us by our Constitution. But when we're not free in our heart, in our soul, in our body, in our being, then it becomes more difficult to honor all of these, as we call them, rights or aspects of our lives, of our consciousness. Now, these statements have become part of our national constitution and ultimately of every state in the Union. Granting freedom by decree or law does not assure us of it, or it doesn't assure our children of it, or our families, or our nation, or our world. We've all discovered that, haven't we? As we look around us in our own world, and in the world in which we occupy around the planets and systems of the earth upon which we live. Now, I believe deeply and profoundly that freedom is available to us, and when we learn how to express it, we will discover that it is essentially a spiritual essence, a spiritual quality. And it flows through in our professions, our academic life, our financial and religious life, and every other form of social interaction that we can imagine. Inner freedom, which is one of the so-called faces of freedom that I referenced in my language today, is a state of deep, positive, balanced, internal relationship to the self, to our own sacred self within us, that divine spark of God that is within us, to our human, personal, mental, and physical form, which is the outer form of that self we call a body. Some of the freedoms that we may talk about partly today and within the remainder of the month are patience, mercy, compassion, unconditional love, and freedom from a place of fear, failure, and a loss of space of trusting life to support and maintaining an inner state of balance, a state of peace. Genuine inner freedom allows us to free ourselves from some very major false beliefs. How many of us have ever found a time in our life when we let go of an idea that we had about something or someone, and we found like a whole new life opens up to us? We let it go. We let the whole idea that we've had about a man, about a woman, about a family, about a group of people that we know, and all of a sudden our attitude shifts, and it's like, what was the problem before? We let go of our false belief about us. But you see, we have to change our belief inside about that. And as long as we hold a false belief, we're trapped by it. Isn't that interesting? We are trapped by our false beliefs. Hence, everyone who moves in the direction of spiritual unfolding or awakening becomes aware at some point that every idea that they have about themselves can change. And so that becomes really one of the gifts of freedom. We give ourselves permission to change. How many of us have ever been in a state, in a relationship, let's say, with a close friend, a member of our family, a partner, a wife, husband, child, whatever, in which we have been seriously wounded in the relationship? Oh, only one or two of you. Okay. Well, in case the rest of you had it but don't want to raise your hand, when you and I get to the place in ourselves where we discover that the false belief we have about this man, this woman, this person we care about or say we care about is wrong, what happens? Inside we change. Have you ever noticed that? You change totally inside. And you find yourself saying to yourself, why was I so upset? Why was I so disturbed by this? Because we were believing something that isn't true. Now, the development we have mentally and emotionally and socially and all of that teaches us to be observant of what people do and say. I tell you, yes, to observe what people do and say, but be generous in your evaluation of them, loving toward them. Because many of us, and I include myself in this paradigm, many of us don't know what we do and say. We just do and we say. And we don't always think about what we say. How many times have we ever wished we hadn't said something that we did say? All right. And we hope to God that nobody was listening. Well, we are listening. And as a result, we find ourselves saying, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. How am I going to deal with this now in the future? And you deal with it by letting go of it deeply, really sincerely letting go of it, and choosing to see the man or the woman or the person, if it is a person, or a situation differently, from a place of wholeness. The more we let go of our fundamental mental beliefs, sometimes called memes, M-E-M-E-S, emotional attitudes that restrict us about ourselves and other things in our life, we gain steps toward freedom inner equilibrium and peace. Many times we make decisions about a man, a woman, a person, a group of people that's based on very false, very limited information. And if you don't believe that, look at the news for one 24-hour period. And you hear all these men and women, highly trained, educated people, talking about what's going on in the world as if they're in an alternate reality. And you think, is this man, is this woman still on the planet? Are they talking about this state, this nation, this world? I'm not in a place to judge them. I wish not to, because making a judgment about it only cements a view that I may find out of order, out of balance, out of sync with me, so therefore I don't really put energy into it. We have to learn that the spiritual essence in our life, and significantly so, is always profoundly and powerfully present. It is around us, it is in us, it is through us, it is in the air we breathe, the thoughts we think, this body that we walk around and carry around in the world of flesh and form. And our work is to own it, to take advantage of it. Here in this ministry, we say God is within us. We believe that the presence of life, we speak to that often in prayer and in class and in affirmations and in our work with one another. The presence of life is here to support us in all things. When we are ill, when we are sick, when we lose loved ones, or we gain a new friendship or a new opportunity in business, or we have advantages that are brought to us in our life because now we're open in our mind to see the advantage. Had an interesting conversation this past week with a longtime friend of mine who lost her husband about 5 years ago. And she really thought at the time of his passing that she was going to be financially secure for the rest of her life. Well, it turned out not to be the case. I don't need to tell the story, not particularly pleasant. But she found out that instead of all this cash and money that was promised in conversations that she had with her husband, a great deal of it was not true. And he had also misrepresented what he had done. He hadn't really told the whole truth about everything that was going on in his life financially and in his business. So after all was said and done, she found herself with very limited financial resources, a woman now in her early 60s, and having to decide whether she had to go out to work or not, or move out into the far distant wilderness of the country where she could afford to live. And a friend of hers that she knew had lunch with her one day and said, you know, I think I have an opportunity for you to start a business. And the business was that she asked her to come and stay in her home, the friend, and take care of her 2 animals. She has a dog and a cat. And the lady said, I'm having a lot of difficulty finding a place to have people come to stay in my home while I travel. Would you be willing to do this? First thing out of the box, she said, oh, I don't like animals. And then she thought about her friend. She thought, God, and she's so picky. Oh, my God. If the cat sneezes on the kitchen table and I don't clean it up, she is going to have a fit and charge me for it. And she went into the negative side of that. And she didn't say that, but she was having this inner conversation while her friend was offering her an opportunity. So the lunch is over, and her friend said, what do you say? Are you interested in this? If you are, come to my home, and I'll tell you what I would like you to do if you think you would be interested. Well, she mumbled something You know how people really answer you when they're not sure of what they want to say? So they give you a sort of a ugh, a groan, and something else I'm not mentioning on the platform that says, I don't think I'm going to do this. And she went home and she struggled. And she struggled, and she prayed, and she struggled, and she prayed, and she struggled, and she prayed, and she struggled, and she got really angry with her husband and said, why did you leave me in this terrible situation? You were supposed to leave me better cared for. And then she got the clarity, and I swear, my friends, this is not something I made up. It was as if she heard her husband's voice say to her, I didn't marry a perfect woman. And she stopped. It's like, and she heard it in her husband's voice. And she thought, that's Bob's voice. He wouldn't say a thing like that to me. That must be an evil spirit. And then she talked herself out of that. She called me to tell me about it and wanted to have confirmation that she was in touch with an evil spirit. I said, nope, sorry. I said, you are not in touch with anything bad. I said, your husband was a good guy. Well, no, he wasn't. He left me without any money. So she was still attracted by, the negative image of him, given what he had done. By the end of the week, she had moved through all of her doubt, all of her fear, and she made the appointment with her friend and went to her home, saw what was required, and said, yes, I will do it. This is a true story. And as a result, she now has 3 other jobs with other people that want her to do the same thing for them. And she's making a significant sum of money 4 or 5 days a week that help her to manage her financial affairs in a very good way. And she told me just in a recent conversation, I think this is going to be a successful venture for me. But she said, I surely did have to change my attitude about it. Isn't that amazing? All right. I want to finish this commentary today. There's much, much more I would like to say. But what I do want to say, as I come to the close of my thoughts this morning, remember that a viewpoint is a viewpoint, and again is a viewpoint. It emerges out of a variety of life experiences and cultural contexts such as family, religion, political views, social experience, and most of all, our own perceptions and interpretations. Be willing to change your viewpoint about others and yourself. When we feel that our viewpoint is correct, always remember that comes out of our ideas, not other men, other women, other people. It's a combination of other people's ideas, but we hold it as well, and then we speak it as if it is truth. So, when we let go of the same viewpoint that limits us, it changes our relationship to our parents, our children, our friends. And as a result, our life changes consequently for the best. Finally, in a world where multiple views are being held and really often preached and taught very intensely and very strongly in many different settings, and now we have the advantage of the internet, which has a plethora of information that is very often very inaccurate and simply not true. But we get caught because there's a part of us that's in a place of fear and not clear thinking about ourselves. So we are obligated in the world to live among men and women who don't see clearly. And I hate to say it, that may be our friends, the people that we love the most. They are so definitely view life in one way. Always remember that a viewpoint is a viewpoint, it's a viewpoint, and you and I need to own it. It does not belong to anybody else, it belongs to us. And we need to be willing to change that. Freedom is about being willing to change a viewpoint. And we have the right to do that. It's granted to us, not by our Constitution, but by our spiritual nature. Today, I would say that the great challenge that we have as a nation, as we celebrate on one of the most important holidays of the founding of our country, we live, as we all know, and we say it all the time, we live in a changing world. The great challenge is to fit into something that the saints and the great visionaries and the mystics of the past have called inner freedom, inner peace. Now, we learn about meditation, we learn about prayer, we learn about how to keep single-mindedness. We have all kinds of disciplines that help us. We have now technology that will help us gain balance in our body. We can get help in medical settings, in mental settings, hospitals, care centers, and so on. All of them are helpful. No one is better or best, and there isn't one fit to every situation, as we all know. The world is changing, and we are the ones who are changing with it. Our lives are beset by human demands, needs, and unending distractions. In one day, think about all the things, and then again, don't, please, that distract us from our goals, distract us from what we need to do. How many of us claim that we have no responsibility and turn our lives over to something other, like other people's issues, depression? Not that depression is a result of other people, but it's our taking on things that we don't feel we can master or overlook or gain freedom from as we move into a greater clarity. I remember, and I was sharing with our staff at the beginning of the program earlier in the rear of the building, when I was a boy, 5, 6, 7 years of age. And I remember never saying to my parents that I was bored, because my parents would say, "Oh, I have something for you to do." And it was always something that I didn't want to do. It didn't matter whether it was mother or dad or grandma or uncle someone. I thought, oops, I'm not going to be bored. I'm not going to be bored. I know what I'm going to do. And if I knew that I wasn't going to necessarily be entertained, I'd always bring a book with me so that I had something to read if I was with a family member that I didn't find particularly interesting. But you know, life provides us with opportunity to grow. And inner freedom is about letting go of false beliefs. Think about this very strongly this week as you go out into your life and look at what you hold as the truth about something that needs to change, about a woman or a man that you know or love or have loved or have known, whether it's in the family or in the friendship bond, been a partner or whatever the nature of the relationship has been, that you need in yourself to change the way you think about it, the way you hold it, the way you involve yourself with that. Give yourself the gift of inner freedom, beloved. The inner freedom to be the man, the woman you have incarnated to be. Now, all of our speakers this month are going to talk about this from a lot of different places, and I know everybody's going to bring their own stance on it. Allow yourself to step into that freedom that comes as you give yourself space to listen and say, "Yet let me, at this very moment, be free in my soul and my spirit. Not only in my soul am I free, I am free in my mind, my body, my emotions, and my being. God bless you.
Part of our service for our gifts, tithes, and offerings. If the ushers would come forward, please. And I'd like to remind those who are joining us remotely that you too can help support the temple by clicking on the donate button. And I thank you in advance for your generosity. Divine intelligence, creator of all things, we give thanks for all that we have, all that we are, all that we're able to give, and all that we receive. Multiply these gifts to support the ministry of the temple for its members, its friends, and the community. And so it is. Carol, are you ready?
We are ready.
We are ready for you.
All righty. We're ready for our last song.
No?
Is it
No,
Bob
just
Marley?
a minute. Just a minute.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing, Carol.
Okay.
Apologies. I'll get it together one of these days.
No problem.
The book sale. Today, fill a bag, make a donation. So you can get lots of bags. You can get lots of books. It's a sale. Go for it, okay? So while you're waiting for the potluck to start, shop till you drop. And also pick up a jar from the prosperity table, where the big prosperity jar is. If you have an extra buck today, throw it in, but pick up a jar to take home and fill and bring it back the last Sunday. And shop, 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 and let's get rid of these books because they're beautiful books. I was amazed at what we had this year. So, thank you. Now,
You want to come forward to mention the luncheon?
you're welcome.
So when all the food is being placed in the back and uncovered and for your enjoyment, we're going to be having tables set up front here and then also in the lobby. And so about 12:15 is when we'll call you, and it's going to be as you go to the back and on both sides of the table. So we're not going to do the cafeteria style this time, but just the regular covered dish as we've done in the past. And we want to thank all of you for bringing all the wonderful treats. And then also during the afternoon's wonderful potluck picnic, there's going to be some surprises for you, which I'm not going to tell you about now because then it wouldn't be a surprise. So
That's true.
And then, of course, Alex is going to be here playing for us musically, and Carol will probably be singing, and then Lonnie might be playing, and then, well, hey.
You just never know, huh?
We never know.
It's a potluck.
Happy 4th of July potluck. So, thanks. Do you have to wear shoes? In the bounce house. Did you set up the bounce house? No, we don't. Not this year. But thanks for
No
asking.
bounce house. All righty. One Love is the name of this song, and I'm sure all of you know it, so if you want to get up and dance a little bit, that's just fine. You want to sing along a little bit, please do. Sound familiar? Yeah? Here we go. One love, one heart. Let's get together and we'll feel alright. Hear the children singing. One love. Hear the children singing. One heart. Thanks and praise the Lord and we'll feel alright. Let's get together and we'll feel alright. Let all of them pass their silly remarks. One love. There is one question I'd really like to ask. One heart. Is the place for the hopeless error who has hurt all souls just to save his own belief? it. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. As it was in the beginning, shall it be in the end. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and we'll feel alright. Okay. Let's get together and join in love. One love. Many people, there will be no more doom. One heart. Oh, have pity on them whose chances grow dimmer. There's no hiding place from the Father of all creation. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. As it was in the beginning, it will be at the potluck. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and we'll feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Yeah. Take care of yourself and take care of someone else, but don't leave.